Hedera Hashgraph is on its way to the moon, and it is completely 100% changing the entire landscape when it comes to cryptocurrency. And no, I'm not talking about its ridiculous speed, its environmentally friendliness, its economic friendliness, and its scalability, not to mention the hundreds of transactions per second that run on the Hedera Hashgraph. I am talking about something completely different. In this something completely different, can I please ask you a question before we go any further? And hit it up in the comments down below. Let's see if you know what I'm talking about. What does a company like Microsoft, Cloudflare, and Meta have in company with a relatively small startup called the Hedera Hashgraph? Let me know in the comments down below. I'll take 3 seconds to give you a moment to think about that. Thank you for giving me your comments down below. I'm going to enjoy reading them. About a week ago, there was a publication issued by the United States government, specifically the State Department, where the State Department acknowledged 150 private sector companies in their push for democracy. Hedera Hashgraph was one of those companies that was mentioned. In a way, Hedera Hashgraph is working collaboratively with all these 150 companies to reach a certain goal. Hedera Hashgraph was recognized by the United States government and listed in this report. This is a huge ordeal if you think about it. One of the reasons why they mentioned Hedera Hashgraph, which I'll read to you in just a moment, is because of the Hedera Hashgraph's governing council members. You see, the governing council members of Hedera Hashgraph is going to be a total of 39, where every single Hedera Hashgraph governing council member gets one vote. This is a democratic process. And all together, the governing council members choose what happens to Hedera Hashgraph. This is a democratic process and for many believed to be one of the most decentralized ways to run a DLT. In a moment, I'm going to read you their report. But before I do, think about that. Little old Hedera Hashgraph, mentioned with these Fortune 500 behemoths that are household names not only within the United States, but the entire globe. This opens up the door for more accreditation in the future. Hedera Hashgraph needs more eyes and ears, and any publicity is definitely good publicity. Since this was published in the United States Department's report, I do believe that in the future, more and more of the Hedera Hashgraph's governing council members will be American companies. Right now, about 1/3 of the governing council members are American-based companies. Each governing council member could only vote or be a governing council member for 2 consecutive terms. So a lot of the governing council members are going to be up for renewals, and there's always going to be newer governing council members. My expectations is that there's going to be more American companies on the governing council in the future. This is all very positive news for Hedera Hashgraph, and hopefully this is the first step forward on the trip and the destination to the moon for Hedera Hashgraph. This report was issued by the United States Department, titled Private Sector Commitments to Advance Democracy, on March 29, 2023. In the run-up to the Summit for Democracy, the U.S. government issued a call to advance democracy. The call focused on 4 areas aligned with the Presidential Initiative on Democracy Renewal: advancing technology for democracy, fighting corruption, protecting civic space and human rights defenders, and advancing labor rights. Over 150 companies that have come together through the Cybersecurity Tech Accord have endorsed a set of principles, which are spearheaded by Microsoft, Meta, Cisco, and Trend Micro, with additional support from Google and Apple. Google is one of the governing council members of the Hedera Hashgraph. But Hedera Hashgraph themselves was named in this report, not just Google. Focusing on minimizing the risks associated with commercial spyware, these principles recommend the companies take specific steps to counter the misuse of their products and services to harm people, actively counter to cyber mercenary commercial spyware market, invest in cybersecurity awareness, and do everything possible to protect customers, users, and general public. Additional companies are encouraged to sign on to the principles in the coming days and weeks. If you do Control F and you check Hedera, it's right here. Hedera, convening democracy roundtable on how blockchain technologies support human rights, transparency, and sustainability. Hedera commits to conveying a democratic roundtable on how blockchain technologies can and are supporting human rights, transparency, sustainability. The current democratic-related applications of blockchain include government systems accountability, fighting misinformation, reducing data manipulation, and tracking financial flows. Hedera will invite companies, trade associations, advocacy groups, academics, and government officials publicly share a summary of discussions and make recommendations for next steps. Now, if you check blockchain, literally the only blockchain that was mentioned is in this post of Hedera. And if you mentioned crypto, there is literally no cryptocurrency mentioned, just Cloudflare, but that is for cryptography, but not for cryptocurrency. And there is a huge difference. Let's think about that for a moment. Hedera Hashgraph, named in this report, with these massive companies. Do you think that there is a chance for one of these massive companies, one of these 149 companies that were mentioned, that they will be one of the next governing council members of the Hedera Hashgraph? If you ask me, chances are one of these companies mentioned in these reports is going to be sitting on the Hedera governing council. This is absolutely massive and absolutely huge. Now, there's a lot of haters on Hedera Hashgraph talking about no decentralization. You shut down your chain when there was an attack. And to this, I'm going to say Hedera Hashgraph is a usable DLT, a usable DAG, built for purpose with the ability for scalability. And at the end of the day, haters can hate. But Hedera Hashgraph is currently being used at an enterprise level. And there are more use cases that are currently being built on the Hedera Hashgraph. This is the Hedera transactions. Currently, there is 770 transactions per second. Do you guys understand that? 770 transactions per second with a brand new use case that's about to come to the Hedera Hashgraph. Currently, the throughput for Hedera Hashgraph is the most of any other blockchain or DLT or DAG out there. And you cannot take this away from the Hedera Hashgraph. This is the total value lock for Hedera Hashgraph. As you can see, it's been going steady up. There was an attack right here when we had around 45 million. It dropped all the way to 26 million. And right now it's recovering, running right around that 35, 40 million. Hedera Hashgraph is currently being used. Hedera Hashgraph is currently being replenished. The Hedera Hashgraph is a generational opportunity to get into a brand new technology, even though cryptocurrency is a brand new technology in itself. Hedera Hashgraph uses something called the Hashgraph, which is a directed acyclic graph. Unlike a blockchain that has blocks of information put together, which is the blockchain, the chain of information, Hedera Hashgraph has a DLT DAG. And that DAG is a bunch of different information in no particular order is being spit out. The same information that you have in blocks of a blockchain are little spheres going forward, only forward in one direction. And later on, the hash graph, the way it works, the guts of it is, it takes all of these spheres and they put it into an order that is readable. Because they're able to do that, their costs of transactions are practically free. The costs of transactions are set, which means it's scalable. It will never go up, no matter if you're sending $1 million, $1, $1 billion. If Hedera Hashgraph is the current price of around 7 cents, or Hedera Hashgraph becomes $7 in the future, the cost of sending a transaction will always be the same. Not to mention finality in around 3 to 5 seconds, which is ridiculously fast. Current transactions per second, maximum 10,000 transactions per second. In the future, in theory, hundreds of thousands or 1 million plus transactions per second. Hedera Hashgraph is truly an amazing investment when it comes to cryptocurrency. Of course, do all of your own research. Everything I'm saying here is just my own personal opinion, and you should use everything that I say right now to do your own research, to base your own buys, sells, trades, and anything in between based on your own research on the subject matter. At the end of the day, if you want to get into something really cool and unique, even in the crypto sphere, Hedera Hashgraph is probably that project for you. Before you go any further, make sure that you hit me up with a comment down below, and make sure to watch this video right here about the Algorand blockchain that I put out the other day. It's also an extremely dope cryptocurrency project. Thank you very much and have a great day.